let's see. Let's give it a couple seconds. And we are live. All right. So I'm going to start this. So my name is Carlos Tercios. Welcome to the Carlos Tercios Uncensored Show. Welcome, Bo French. And we're going to be talking about the major development, the major story that you pretty much exposed at the Larry Elder Show, showing how illegal aliens are pretty much being helped by organizations, by the federal government, and essentially giving them an incentive to come here. So I'll give you the floor, Bo, and you can talk about what you're exposing right now.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Carlos. Great to connect with you. I have been the Tarrant County GOP chairman now for about 9 months. And part of what I've been trying to do, obviously, is save the largest red county in the country from the Democrats. They've been gaining ground here, and we're trying to keep our county red. And so one of the things that I'm trying to do is expose just everything I possibly can that I know that Republicans would be unhappy about, from DEI in our city councils, in our schools, at universities, LGBTQ, transgender brainwashing going on in our elementary schools, and just anywhere where I can find something that I think Republicans would be upset about. I've been trying to expose. And in doing research, I came across this little organization here in Fort Worth, Texas, and started digging in, and through just a bunch of publicly available information was able to just connect some dots. And so the headline is this: the Catholic Charities of Fort Worth have received almost $1 billion from Biden and Harris administration under the auspices of helping refugees. But the reality is, given what we know has happened with the Biden administration at the border with illegal aliens, it used to be under Trump, someone tried to cross into the country, Border Patrol would catch them. Some of them got to stay here if they had legitimate asylum claims, but most of them were not legitimate asylum claims, so they were immediately put on the pathway to being deported. That has changed. As we know, when Biden got into office, the first thing he did was issue about 100 executive actions that totally dismantled everything that we had done on the border under the Trump administration. And part of what they are doing is essentially violating our law by giving these illegal aliens a form of legal status. And that is, anyone and everyone who comes in can essentially claim asylum, and they're granted to them, which of course then puts them on the pathway to getting all kinds of benefits that are usually reserved for American citizens, from welfare type benefits, SNAP, TANF, all the Section 8 housing, and even healthcare. And so Catholic Charities of Fort Worth has used this money. There are, and by the way, this is only one of many organizations that are doing this exact same thing. So you can imagine the scale. But the agreement that they signed with the Biden administration essentially grants them the exclusive right to dole out cash payments to illegal aliens after they are granted this status inside the United States. And it's a lot of money. And the people who are in charge of this, of course, they are all Democrats. We looked up who all people are, and everybody we could find had a hard Democrat voting record. None of them seem to be Republicans. We also looked at some of the other organizations that Catholic Charities of Fort Worth was funneling money to as well. And I mean, some of these organizations are mostly taxpayer-funded organizations also, but they get money not just from taxpayers, but are getting huge amounts of money from George Soros, Bill Gates. So, all of our enemies are teaming up to facilitate this massive invasion at our border. And like I said, just this one that we've dug into is $1 billion.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned how they have funneled to other organizations, and I know I saw in your ex post how the Lutheran group was, they're also complicit. I think the Jewish Family Center as well, but there's a lot of organizations that are
That's right.
involved with
The
this. But
Episcopal Church has one. I mean, there are numerous
yeah,
that the
I mean, it's
government is
just, yeah, it's
paying to
just,
facilitate this.
yeah, I mean, it's just absurd that this is happening. And I guess my question is, why the heck have no Republicans in Congress or in Texas like exposed this? Because we've had years, and I know people have been talking about border security. People have been talking about how illegal aliens are coming in, and
Hmm.
I haven't seen any other Republican other than you talk about how exactly they are enabling these illegal aliens and giving financial support. So, what's your
Well,
thoughts about that?
so I would say a couple of things. Look, first of all, there are Republicans out there who have been sounding the alarm for years. There are some Republicans who are the kind of people that I think we all hope to vote for when they're in office. People who are fighters and warriors for what's good, right, true, and beautiful, and the rule of law. And so there are a number of those. The problem is we just have a totally dishonest media. It's totally on the
Yeah,
other
that's
side.
true.
So they don't get any oxygen when they do that. They don't get any coverage. Um, but then there's like the other kind of politician who I think just mostly are, I hate to use the word, but are cowards.
Yeah.
They are afraid to tell the truth because they don't want to get canceled or deplatformed,
Yep.
or they're worried about. I mean, this is a true story. I was actually at our EC meeting a couple of weeks ago when we had a meeting, and one of our Republican activists came up to me and was worried about something that I was doing and saying within the Republican Party here in Tarrant County. And she said to me she was worried what the Democrats were going to say, that they were going to have a field day with this. And I looked at her and said, have you followed my social media? Does it, do you think I care what the Democrats say? I mean, like, this is the mentality that I think has
Yeah.
caused the
No.
Republican Party over the years to just continue to cede ground to a radical left
Yeah.
who are united in destroying America,
Yeah.
united in defeating Republicans, and and we are not. I just was with Ted Cruz the other night at a fundraiser, and he gave a great speech and very rousing. But one of the things that was very troubling to me that he mentioned was, you look at the current makeup of the Senate, and they're only about, Republicans are only half the Senate right now.
Yeah.
He said half of that half, so a quarter of the senators, half of the Republicans, are go along to get along with, the Democrats,
Oh, wow.
and they're not fighting for our Republican values, for our party platform, and I think this is a problem, through politics, up and down the ladder of,
Yep.
from Washington D.C. all the way down to our city councils and
Yep.
school
No, I
boards.
mean, yeah, no, I fully agree with that. That we do have, unfortunately, we have weak Republicans that are so afraid of what Democrats are going to say. Oh, what is the Democrat going to be saying? Or they're afraid of the LGBTQ mafia. The rainbow mob. Oh, they're going to call us homophobic. They're going to call you an anti-Semite, racist, all of that, and they're just scare tactics that they
Yeah.
use. They're bully tactics, and I've had to learn to get used to that and realize that these words are not going to bring me down. Every Republican should have that mindset. I know you have that mindset because that's how they win. That's how they win. They win by you shutting down and saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry that I'm a I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist.
Look, I
And
think it's just, I mean,
I'm not homophobic."
conservatives by nature are, we're non-confrontational. I think
Yeah.
that is you just look around at the people in business or whatever,
Hmm.
they want to go about their daily lives. They want to, you know, perform at their job, support their family, go to church, make sure
Yeah.
their family is provided for. They don't need extra confrontation in their life. And unfortunately, we live in a society where there's confrontation all around.
Yeah.
And so most people want to avoid that, I believe. And I think this is really true within the character of Republicans. The
Yeah.
downside to that is, um, you know, we have just bent over and let the left to totally run over us. and they have just continued to win and win and
Yeah.
win. Where they where the most people, if you ask them directly, do you agree with this? They say no, but they're not willing to stand up and
Nope.
proclaim, really fight for that. And listen, the
Yeah.
easy answer to stop all of this is we just have to, everybody just has to stand up and say enough is enough, right?
I
We just
agree.
have to say no more. We have to go to the polls in November. We have to overwhelmingly vote for Donald Trump and every Republican on the ballot, every single one. There's not a Republican out there, seriously, not a single Republican out there that is worse than any Democrat. Okay. So we have to vote for Republicans up and down the ballot. And the only way we're going to stop this is have a victory that's so overwhelming that the Democrats have to, go back to their corner and figure out what they're going to do next time.
Yep.
Because they're not going to quit. They're going to keep coming. But we
No,
have
they
to at
are.
least put ourselves in position to stop this.
I mean, I agree. Every single Republican, needs to win because this November is an important election. We can't let Kamala or the Democrats win this November, or else they're just going to flood even more the country with illegal aliens from Venezuela to Mexico. But talking about November, when Republicans win, and hopefully, they win this November, and Trump wins, and we're working very hard to make sure that he wins. What would you like to see from the Trump administration and Republicans if we take back the Senate and keep the House? What would you like them to see? What type of action would you like them to see in regards to what you just exposed today? Uh,
Yeah.
because I think that's a different front as well. I know we got to do the mass deportations, and I'll be talking about that after you answer this one. But what would you like to see in regards to what you just exposed today?
Well, the first thing is we have to shut the money down, right? I mean, these people are getting money. They're less likely to come if they're not going to be getting a whole bunch of free money. I mean, imagine getting housing. I was talking to Larry Elder earlier on his radio show, and he said that he reminded me, I'd seen the story before, but he reminded me that in California now, they're now talking about giving illegal aliens $150,000 to go buy a
Oh,
house. I mean,
yeah,
this is insanity.
yeah,
So you first have to turn off the money. And in Texas, we've been talking about that for a long time. I mean, we've offered in-state tuition, which is a cheaper tuition for illegal aliens. I mean, it's just this kind of insanity is, and I think it was Rick Perry who famously said,
yeah,
who supported that. And it's like, come on, like even our own Republicans were not strong enough to stand
yeah,
up and say, no, this is enough. Like we have to turn off the money. So that's the first thing. The Trump administration, the sort of the orbit around him, the people he is relying on for counsel and future cabinet positions and things like this. It seems that most of them kind of agree that a large scale deportation program is necessary.
yeah,
We have to secure the border, like we actually have to build the wall on the border. I remember in 2016 when Trump was talking about the cost of the border wall in 2016 for the whole thing was something like $20 billion, and
yeah,
everyone said, "Oh no, we can't find the money. We can't find the money." Well, how many hundreds of billions of dollars have we spent on Ukraine? And I
yep,
mean, like the money, and how many hundreds of billions of dollars are we spending on illegal aliens every year in this country? I mean,
yep,
we have the money. It's do we have the will to do what is right? And building the wall, cutting off the money. Many of these people will just leave. Who are already here. They'll self-deport if they can't get a job. We have to make it where they can't even get a job, right? That's why like a
sure,
national e-verify system is important. So
yeah,
there's lots of things we can do. And look, everyone's like, all Democrats are like, oh, well, are you going to pass a law that punishes Republicans for hiring illegal aliens? Listen, if we can get all this other stuff, absolutely, we need to have a law that says if you even hire an illegal alien, you can get in trouble. So I'm in all of the above when it comes to securing our border and keeping our nation safe.
yep. Yeah, no, I fully agree. I mean, you got to cut the incentive for these illegal aliens to
Yeah.
even want to remain here. But even if half were to leave, you still have millions, and God knows how many we have. I think we have like 40 million or 30. And you just
No, I
go
think
to
I think
any.
there are lots of estimates that I've seen that are in the 40 to 50 million range. So I think
That
that's
is
possible.
just that
Yeah.
is just disgusting. But even if you were to cut half of that, that's you still have 20 million people that are not supposed to be here. And then of course we're gonna have to do mass deportation. But here's the thing that I've been pondering a lot, and it's the fact that Republicans, like you mentioned, we tend to be much more cautious of what the media says and how people think of us. I can already imagine the mainstream media putting a picture of a kid crying because their
Yeah.
mom and dad got deported. And then that's all it's gonna take is, look, you're horrible monsters. You're destroying families, and I can already see half the Republicans in the House and the Senate already saying we can't do this. We got to give them amnesty. We
Yeah.
got to give them citizenship.
These same people who you're talking about would potentially be crying about that
Yeah,
have not said a single word about the 350,000 illegal alien migrant children, whatever you want to call them,
yeah,
but children who have disappeared. The Biden administration doesn't know where they are. Many are, in some type of slavery, being sex trafficked children.
yeah.
350,000 just in the last few years.
That's
These people
sick.
aren't saying a word about it. They're all hypocrites and liars, every
Yeah,
single. So I don't really care what they say. I have moved beyond caring what they say. It doesn't matter. Actually, the more they say it, the more I know I'm over the target.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, no, that's good because we're going to need every single Republican, not just every single Republican, but every single American that cares for this country to have a thick skin. Okay, like I'll volunteer. Like the minute Trump creates the mass deportation organizations, you know, I'll be the first one to volunteer. Like, heck yes, let's deport all these illegal aliens out of here, and we're just gonna have to do that. Everyone's just gonna have to have a thick skin. They're gonna have to, just shut it, do it, because the
But here's the
minute we
thing:
get emotional, the minute we say, "Oh no," but we gotta keep them, is the minute we lose. I mean, so
when you know that you're saying what's right and true, you don't have to worry about having a thick skin. It doesn't matter what someone says
yeah,
if you know what you're doing is right. And that's the thing. We all know what is right. It's just time to do it. We just have to do it.
yeah, no, man. I mean, I fully agree. But one of the last things before I end the interview, um, I don't know if you've explored this part, but I know a relative of mine that works in the medical industry, and that relative has mentioned how a lot of money is pumped into these illegal aliens to get Medicare. And I'm just curious, like, how many billions are being pumped into medical services as well? Because
Yeah,
in the
I
area,
don't
I
I
mean,
don't know the figure, but I know that under HHS grant, I believe it's 93.566. This specifically is for cash payments to refugees, um, and it pays their medical expenses. So
golly,
while we have people who can't afford their own health care in our
yep,
country, Americans, illegal aliens are coming in, and through this maze of complicated regulations and whatever that these NGOs, these charities, people like or groups like Catholic Charities Fort Worth are enabling, and they have teams of lawyers, by the way, who help these illegal aliens apply for all these benefits, and it puts them on the pathway to get everything. But can you imagine? They're also on top of all the other money they're getting just cash payments for healthcare. Go figure.
jeez. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just absurd that we have high inflation right now. The economy isn't doing that well. I mean, we're going to enter in a recession. And I mean, everything's just going bad for Americans. These illegal aliens, they're offering free houses. They're offering, free medical insurance. They're giving them stuff that Americans should be getting, you know. So it's like, geez, might as well go to Mexico and be an illegal
Well,
alien there.
I think what just is so disgusting for most people is just how, Kamala Harris was the border czar, so she
Yeah,
was responsible for the border. But what has happened on the border? Not only have the number of illegal aliens, gone up 10, 20 fold since the Trump administration. Like estimates are now 12 million up to 20 million just in the last 3.5 years.
jeez.
But I mean, they have just sold out Americans in favor of illegal aliens, right? They are
Yeah,
taking money from American taxpayers. This is taxpayer money. It's not government money. It is you and I and everyone who has a job. We are working, paying taxes. They're taking our tax money and giving it to people who break the law when they come into the country, who aren't providing anything beneficial to our country. They're just adding to extreme cost
yeah,
for everyone in our country, and they're just giving them money when hardworking Americans, many of them, can't even afford these things themselves. It's just
yeah,
it's mind-boggling. It's hard to even wrap your mind around, and this is just the tip of the iceberg.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, Democrats don't care for America. They don't care for Americans. They care for foreigners. They care for illegal aliens. And that's why Trump needs to win. We got to take back the Senate. And everyone, whoever's watching this, everyone needs to do their part. Go door knock, go help Trump, go help Ted Cruz, help
Yep.
every single Republican in your
There,
county, in your
there is no
city.
such thing as a moderate Democrat anymore. They
No.
do not exist. If they are a Democrat, they are a radical Marxist on the way to communist. You can't believe a word they say. Just, like tomorrow, I have Jack Posobiec in, who wrote a phenomenal book called Unhumans, and it's about the history of communist revolutions around the world. And it's just so plain and clear exactly what they are attempting to do in America. And people, one, need to get that book. Two, you need to come to my event tomorrow with Jack Posobiec and hear us discuss these issues. You can go to the tarrantgop.org website and purchase tickets. You need to do that tonight because it's almost sold out. The event's tomorrow in Fort Worth, Texas. So I hope everyone comes to that. But listen, we have to win in November. We have to stop this. It's going to bankrupt the country and it's
Yeah.
going to destroy the country. Look at countries like England. England is hardly even a country anymore. Look
Yeah.
what they've done to Ireland. Ireland is hardly even a country anymore because they've let in so many illegal aliens that the native population is all but powerless.
Yep.
And so that is happening here. They are making it happen. They want it to happen because they like the chaos. Because out of that chaos, they can they can end up controlling everything.
Yeah. No.
And people like us who have jobs, we're the ones who are going to be paying for it all and probably ending up in a gulag or dead. That's how communism usually works.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, it is a great replacement. They're doing it in the UK, they're doing it in Western Europe, here in America and Canada as well, and it's just disgusting what they're doing. But we got to make sure that they're voted out of power. We got to take it back in this country. We got to push back and just put America first. And I think, as Christian conservatives, we can do so much of an impact in society if we just mobilize, push back, and bring back biblical values, in this country. I mean, I think that's what we desperately need,
For
and
sure.
just push back against this great replacement that they're trying to do. Well, thank you, Bo. I appreciate you
Thank you,
coming in and, of
Carlos.
course,
Enjoyed it.
talking about the expose. And let us know what else you uncover, of course, and then we'll do more of
Well,
this.
we're working on another really big one for next week. I'm not going to tip my hat yet, but it may be just as big, if not bigger. So
All
thanks for
right,
your time today.
all right. Well, I appreciate it, Bo. Thank
Enjoyed it.
you.
Okay, bye bye.
Thank you. All right.